To begin with, the Minority Leader of Parliament, Haruna Idrisu, says the 2021 budget as presented by the majority lacks transparency. He alleges that government failed to produce official records of the true state of the economy. He also alleges that government spent about 19 billion Ghana cedis in spite of approving 10 billion Ghana cedis for domestic support from the Bank of Ghana. Mr. Idrisu says the governor of the bank will be made to face the consequences of his actions. He was speaking to climax the debate on the budget statement. Now, Parliament is expected to conclude debate on the policy document presented to the House by the caretaker Finance Minister and Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu last week. The House has debated the document for the past 3 days with contributions from members focusing on various sectors of the economy. Let's go straight to the House and speak to our man on the ground, Parker Wilson, who has been observing the process. So what has been the major arguments, Parker, presented on the floor in this debate?
Well, you might want to say about 3 arguments put before or advanced by the Minority Leader, Haruna Idrisu. And one is about the fact that government conceals the figures, the true fiscal deficit of this country. They have their own records. It shows that we owe more than what is contained in the budget as presented by the caretaker Finance Minister and, of course, the Majority Leader. 2, the introduction of the new taxes. In fact, just at the tail end of his submission, he said that the NDC is united. I'm putting verbatim, Daniel. The NDC is united in opposing the introduction of the new taxes. And the point or the argument he makes is this will further burden the already burdened taxpayer because of the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic. And so they believe that this is not the time that the government should introduce new taxes, but rather the government must come up with stimulus packages to cushion the ordinary Ghanaian. And again, with the issue of the Bank of Ghana, which you just mentioned a while ago, he's made the point that the BOG governor will be hauled before the House to come and explain why they spent more than what was approved by Parliament to support domestically, because the amount they approved was 10 billion Ghana cedis, but government spent 19 billion. So that is in excess of about 9 million Ghana cedis without parliamentary approval. He will be made to face the consequences of his action. And one interesting thing he said is that, even though they are against the introduction of these taxes, one of the things that they support is the road tolls. The point is the road tolls are good and that they must be used for what it's meant for. And so they don't want government to abuse the funds that will be generated from the road tolls. So these are some of the things that the Minority Leader has talked about. And also, finally, the Obatampa project. You know that government is talking about 100 billion for 3-year period. He's asking them to tell the people of this country exactly how much you are going to spend in the year 2021. That was not contained in the budget. And so we are at a loss as to how much you are going to spend. So it would be proper and prudent for the government and, of course, the Finance Minister to let us know how much we are spending just for the year 2021.
Okay. Parker, has there been a response from the majority?
Well, just before I walked out of the chamber, the Deputy Majority Leader, Afenyo Makin, was just about to conclude the debate on the side of the majority because the Majority Leader himself was the one who presented the budget. So it would be unfair for him to come and defend what he presented, and that is why the Deputy Majority Leader has been asked to be in the stead to conclude. So he is currently on the floor making the point about what the budget is all about.
You know what, Parker? Let's listen to Mr. Afenyo Makin live.
Right.
They went to the Supreme Court without data and figures. Today, the NDC is on a path of speculation. And listen to the respected Haruna Idrisu. This is a man I always yearned to listen to when I was not in this house. He debates well, but for the first time, Haruna Idrisu, lawyer by profession, almost 20 years at the bar, failed to provide figures to support his claims. Mr. Speaker, he was on a path of conjecture and speculation. He could not, Mr. Speaker, he could not. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Setekwe told us that the world was going through crisis. But Mr. Speaker, if the world was going through crisis at the time, he could not particularize those challenges. Yet he said that in evaluating the state of the Ghanaian economy, we should give due regard to what is happening elsewhere. What has changed, NDC? What has changed? Today, you are saying that we should not talk about COVID. But you know, in my usual self, I would limit you to data, facts, so that you don't get up on a point of order. Mr. Speaker, these are the real facts. Almost every country in the world experienced economic contraction, as captured on page 9 and 10 of the budget document. And these are the facts. Global economy contracted by 3.5%. In other words, there was a negative growth of 3.5%. Advanced countries, 4.9%. Emerging markets and developing economies, 2.4%. Sub-Saharan African countries, 2.6%. Nigeria contracted by 3.2%. ECOWAS region, 2.5%. Mr. Speaker, Ghana, under the competent Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, did not record a negative growth. Rather, it was 0.9, Mr. Speaker. What we are saying is that in relative terms, you can clearly see that if it was not as a result of prudence, efficiency, and competence, we would have also recorded a negative growth. Are you contexting these figures? Are you? Mr. Speaker, now let's go back to the NDC. Clearly, we know that the pandemic has slowed down the economy. Mr. Speaker, we have captured per Appendix 1A on page 201. I want them to look at it before they come doubting the figures.
And that was Alexa Penyo-Markin. He is delivering his submission in that debate on the budget live from the House of Parliament. We'll bring you more details in later bulletins. But we will deal ruthlessly and decisively with any group that wants to undermine the security of the Upper East region and the Bolgatanga Township. That is the warning coming from the new Upper East Regional Police Commander, DCOP Dr. Seibu Pabi Gariba, after he led some security officers in a show of force endurance route march in Bolgatanga this morning. The officers, made up of 136 junior police officers, 80 recruits from the Police Public Safety Training School in Polugu, 42 SWAT and counter-terrorism unit officers, 15 senior police officers, and 2 senior military officers from the 11th Infantry Battalion at Bazua marched through the principal streets of Bolgatanga to boost their confidence and exhibit their readiness to combat crime in the region. Now, the Upper East correspondent Albert Sori joins us on phone. Albert, tell us what transpired.
Yes, Daniel. So the officers went on a march through the principal streets of Bolgatanga. So you have the officers leading the way, and then the team from SWAT also joining with their vehicles, and there is a patrol bike leading the way. So basically, what they try to do to the general public and the security agencies, particularly the police, are ready in terms of how they can fight crime in the region. You remember that in recent times there have been so many highway robberies in the Upper East region. Some of them included the robbery of tomato trucks that were traveling to Burkina Faso. A driver was robbed and shot in the process. There have been other robberies around the Bursa area and also the Navrongo areas as well. And it's generated a lot of insecurity among the people of the Upper East region. So what this new regional commander tried to do this morning was to reassure the people of the Upper East region that the highway robberies and all the crimes that have become almost part and parcel of the region, will soon be a thing of the past. So this is generally the assurance he has been giving the people after the march this morning.
Thank you very much, Albert. Sorry for joining us from the Upper East region. Now, Joy News checks at the Obinfo Advanced Body Sculpt Center indicates the health center is open with some staff at work and may be operating illegally months after the healthcare facilities regulatory agencies, HEFRA, shut it down for its failure to meet the required standards for operation. HEFRA, as part of its regulatory enforcement measures, closed down a number of health facilities to ensure quality standards and compliance with health regulations for public safety. My colleague, Kweku Asante, is there and has joined us with more. Kweku, right. Let's rather speak with the registrar for the Healthcare Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA, Dr. Philip Bano. Dr. Bano, are you aware that the hospital is operating?
Thank you for the invitation this afternoon. No, we are not aware it is operating. We've been monitoring the activities around that facility, and I've been there with the CID, and we've been there, our officers have been around. What we encountered was that the facility, curious enough, is also a residential facility. So some people live there. So we were posed with a bit of a challenge there. The case remained an active case. We've been at least a couple appearances before a judge. And I know that the last time was this past Friday, last week Friday. And the attorney for Dr. Obinfo tried very, very hard to get the judge to lift the order to lock the place. But I can assure you that the judge did not agree with his position. So we left the lock order still in place.
Okay, Dr. Bano, if I could crave your indulgence for just a moment. Our reporter who is currently at the site or has been there this morning has joined us. We just want to get some clarification. Kweku, what did you observe? Is it the case that the hospital is operating as a hospital, or there are just a few people walking around like they live at the premises?
Right. So when I got to the scene, you could see a number of cars parked at the premises, and then the HEFRA notice that is in front of the hospital saying that this facility has been closed down. So it was expected that this facility should not even be in operation, or there should be no one there. And then I knocked. There was no one responding, and then I tried to enter. So when I tried to enter and I tried to go up where the walls are, a lady came out from up and then just met me downstairs and tried to explain to me that doctor is not around. That is what the person told me. Doctor is not around. So I should call a certain number that she gave me so that I can make arrangements and meet doctor. According to her, doctor is not available this week, but will be available next week. And so if I call the person, we can make some arrangements and then we can meet doctor for the specific operation that we want to do. And so I called the number, and then I spoke to this person and who said that we should make a payment of 400 cedi. And that if we make the payment of 400 cedi, then we could take the process forward. And so for now, the person even has to text them on WhatsApp and all those things so that we can take the conversation from there. And so that was my observation at the health facility.
Quickly, just a moment. Dr. Bano, thanks for staying with us. So clearly, that facility, whether or not it's in use, is still receiving persons who are making payments to officials of the Obinfo Hospital, and appointments are being made. What's HEFRA doing about this?
Okay, thank you again for bringing this to our attention. This is the first time we are hearing that people are making appointments or making payments. And as he said the doctor was not in. So if we get the evidence that he's actually there, seeing patients there, then as I said, we met because of the knowledge that people live there and if we open some of the back doors. We informed the CID and we were instructed to amend our complaints, and therefore the charges against him were also amended. So if you have further evidence that in spite of that warning, in spite of the judge refusing to lift the order to open, and in spite of the police order, in spite of the agency order, it's still recalcitrant. I won't discuss the next step, but I think it's obvious what we need to do again.
What would that be, Dr. Bano?
Oh, I don't think it is fair to discuss that on air. But the whole thing is that you have to do things per standard. So we need to have that evidence. And we've already dispatched people when it was brought to my attention this morning that they actually could be actively. But as your own reporter said, the doctor himself was not there to see patients.
But Dr. Bano, you just mentioned that it's the first time you're hearing this on this program. So I'm surprised you're talking about this morning. Is this not a failure on the part of your organization? That there are healthcare personnel there who are receiving patients, and ultimately people are being endangered by coming into contact with these healthcare professionals?
No, if you heard me right, we have been monitoring the facility. We've been monitoring them with the CID. So
but they are still operating, doctor.
No, he didn't say they were operating. He said the doctor wasn't there. The doctor wasn't there. So if we're meeting with finance...
Appointments were made. Is that not
the appointment is not clinical
operation?
And I'm not saying that this is all that we can do. We've been to court and twice. And his attorney, remember that he has a legal right. His attorney was there trying to lift it in the order for him to operate. The judge denied that. So if he is indeed doing what you are saying, and we want that as evidence first, if he's doing what you are saying, this is an allegation. We need to record that. So we need to have someone there going there to make a payment, seeing him. Then you have evidence. Then you can say that he has violated both the order of the police and the court and the agency. So then you have, but even the knowledge that people live on the premises and they even remove some of the background. The CID assisted us to amend the charges, our complaints, and therefore the charges are instant. So since the first arrest, there's an additional escalation. So I don't think we can say there's a failure here. We have a difficult situation, but not failure.
Dr. Philip Bano, thank you very much for joining us. He's Registrar for the Healthcare Facilities Regulatory Agency. Let's move to other stories. And 517 people have died from road accidents between January and February 2021. This is a significant increase in the 393 cases recorded in the same period last year. Thus, 124 more deaths were recorded this year compared to last year's same period. Ghana loses an average of 310 children to road traffic accidents. In economic terms, the cost is 1.6% of GDP, which translates to about $800 million. Sadly, all these accidents happen on the country's good roads, which are unfortunately single carriage lanes. Only $200 million out of the $800 billion economic cost can significantly improve the road network and thereby reduce carnage drastically. Right, let me share with you some findings from the Ghana. Well, you have these findings on your screen. Let's go over them. This is an accident report from January to February 2021. 517 persons killed, as you can see there. Okay, this is the regional breakdown of the deaths. The region with the highest deaths is the Ashanti region. The Greater Accra region is third. Northeast region has the lowest number of deaths. 2,560 cases have been reported in that period of January to February 2021. Very soon we will demonstrate how 2,560 is an increment over the last 5-year average. 1,581 cases have been observed in commercial vehicles, involving commercial vehicles, your taxi drivers, your Uber drivers, your trotros, and 974 involve motorcycles. Motorcycle deaths have actually been a matter of concern to officials of the National Road Safety Authority for the 3rd year running, where those numbers have been rising steadily. Pedestrian knockdowns, which is what you should be very worried about if you live in an area and your children take walks in the neighborhood. 2,766 pedestrians have been knocked down. And we have here that year-on-year analysis of the first 2 months' numbers when it comes to accident reports. Now, here at Joy News, we are bothered that though COVID-19 has killed a number of people over the last year, a lot more have died from road crashes. Unfortunately, not much attention has been given to the phenomenon. My colleague, Seth Kwame Boateng, has joined us with more. Seth, you've been engaging state actors on this. What have you gathered?
Now, let's start from the COVID statement that you just made, that in a matter of a year, we've recorded 705 deaths from COVID-19. Now, in just 2 months this year, we've recorded 517. If you add the mortality figures from 2015 to 2020, we've lost approximately 13,000 lives in Ghana in a matter of 5 years, about 13,000 lives.
That's a shocking number.
It's shocking, and we must be concerned. What you just spoke about, even the injuries. Last year, around the same time, we had 393 deaths. But around the same period, this year, January, February, we have 517. The injuries. Last year, January, February, we had 2,579 injuries. Now, January, February 2021, we have 2,766. 66. And we must be concerned, especially, you mentioned the figures involving children, those going to school.
Yeah.
You understand? Imagine your child went to school today. How sure are you that he or she will come back?
Be knocked down.
They are being knocked down because of their diminutive sizes. And this is worrying. That's why we must be concerned. And what we are pushing for, yes, driver discipline is high. We don't have gadgets for our police officers to work. They don't have all the resources they need. But one other thing, you mentioned earlier, that these accidents are happening on good roads, not bad roads. Yesterday, the Solar Road is one of the best we have in this country. One of the best we have. And these accidents are happening there, all because they are just one way. They are single lane roads. You understand? And we need dual carriage roads so that there will not be head-on collision. Head-on collision is what is happening now, killing many. You understand? So imagine if I'm doing 80 kilometers per hour on that road, on that stretch.
Accepted on a highway.
Which accepted. And another one is also doing 80 kilometers and there's a collision. The impact is 160. How many people will survive in that accident? That's why we must be concerned. That's why we have to, as a team, hold our leaders responsible. Because if the statistics showed that we were losing 6 lives every day, and per these figures, you do the calculation, we are losing approximately 9 lives every day in Ghana. So who is dying today?
You know what, Seth, give me a moment and let's hear the member of the Transport Committee in Parliament, Kwame Governs Agboja, who told Joy News that the country lacks the funds to dualize the highways. He suggested a deduction of 5 pesos from the new petroleum tax to be given to the National Road Safety Authority to improve on education.
Check the records on the motorway. We do have some of the horrific accidents on Accra Motorway, which is a dual carriage. So it is not entirely correct to say that once the roads are good, people will do the right thing. I mean, if you are even driving on the, if you are driving on the Accra Motorway, you will notice trucks who are driving sometimes 40 kilometers per hour are in the inner lane, and then maybe somebody drives all the way feeling, oh, it is a clear road, and then just realize that the speed of the vehicle ahead of you is much slower than yours. So yes, it is good that we should improve the conditions of our road, but that would not solve the problem if driver error is not addressed, especially in the area where we have problems with National Road Safety Authority not having the necessary resources to carry out education, NCCD, checking drivers and other things. We will not be able to address this thing even if we were to improve the conditions of the on the road. If you check the budget of the National Road Safety Authority, and I was arguing this on the floor of Parliament, why we are going to put more taxes on petrol, and we are not going to use the money to improve the road condition and road safety. I made this point 3 days ago, and I even suggested that 20 pesos that they want to add to part of the fuel cost, 5 pesos should go to National Road Safety Authority, because we made them authority without giving them the necessary tools to be able to carry out the education and other things. So I think the ball is in the court of the government. Even if it's a driver error, it's the job of the government to make the necessary laws to make sure all drivers, especially commercial drivers, do the right thing on the road. Because if you take money off drivers, I think it's just fair that they must be able to, because drivers are the ones buying the fuel. If you take money off them, I think put some of that money into something to improve their lot. And I feel if we can put, and I propose, in all about 30% is going to be taken. My brother, we are struggling to find money to build roads in this country. That is to improve the physical condition of the road. That's the road fund generated about 1.8 billion last year. We probably need about 5 billion to be able to do a good job on our road. So if you're going to add money, they take money off drivers. I thought if maybe by 10% to improve the national road safety, the road fund, so that they can build more roads, and also give 5% to the National Road Safety Authority to be able to carry out their mandate.
And that's Kwame Governance Abuja. He said, what do you make of this? So his point is that we may not have enough money to dualize the roads, so let's give some money to the National Road Safety Authority.
But what shocks me, we don't have money, yet we are able to access money to take care of those who get injured. You understand? That's why we are spending 1.6% of our GDP. So the victims, those who got injured, we are going to take care of their bills. The road infrastructure, the distractions, we are going to pay for, and they are all in the 1.6. So that's why I like the analysis you made. If we were to devote just 200 million every year, you understand, from the amount of money we are spending on the victims, wouldn't we have gotten somewhere?
Very quickly, let's move to the issue of unclaimed bodies.
Yes. I have a documentary coming up, and I've gone around the country, and I've realized that in our mortuaries, there are bodies there that have not been claimed by they have not even been identified, and most of them are accident bodies. So, for example, you have a relative traveling from Accra to Kumasi, there was an accident. Nobody knows where that relative is. Probably he's in the mortuary, and because nobody heard of his accident, there'll be mass burial and he'll be buried. So probably you've not heard from a relative for a very long time. He got involved in an accident and has been buried because he wasn't identified. This is a serious thing.
That makes me shudder. Thank you so much, Seth Kwame Boateng. We move to other stories. Next month, Rwanda will commemorate 27 years since a devastating ethnic cleansing. Thousands were killed by people who used to be friends, neighbors, work colleagues, and even spouses. How is the country, which is now headed by one of the people who was instrumental in ending the genocide, Paul Kagame, holding it together? Gifty Ando Apiab had an immersed tour of the memorial, which holds the remains of those who died. And she's joined us now. Gifty, how has Rwanda managed to lift itself out of the ashes in the past 27 years? Unmute your microphones for me, Gifty.
How did I forget that? I beg your pardon. So, Daniel, I was saying earlier that one of the things it did was to go on a road of reconciliation. So it set up courts, small courts that allows for some of these cases to be heard, and allows also for people who are guilty to be tried and to be imprisoned, and to also allow for those families who are willing to forgive to do that. Now, what the country has done to rise up out of the ashes is hinged on 4 key government policies. The first one is what they call peace and security. With this one, if you were part of those who killed, and you were part of the Hutu extremists, and you wanted to come back and to enlist, for example, in the military, there is a program that they take you through so that you can be a part of the military. If you were also in exile and you wanted to come back, they allowed for you to also come back as well. If you want to just come as a tourist, even though you want to just come back and look at the place and go back, that is also allowed. The second point, Daniel, is
From Rwanda, very solemn moments, important lessons that are being learned there. Let's move on. And at age 31, Mohammed Amin Mansour is breaking the barriers in the field of carpentry. Many are dazzled by his craft with increasing demand for his products. But the computer engineering graduate had to make a critical decision, weighing his job as a systems administrator at a major hospital in Kumasi to becoming a furniture producer. Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
My name is Mohammed Amin Mansour. I'm a carpenter, but IT engineer by profession. I completed Edumai SHS in 2009. From school, just don't know what the future lies for me. So IT is a hot cake in the market, so I consulted with my mom, so I joined IPMC in August 2009, just 3 months after I completed SHS.
Mohammed Amin had always admired his grandfather and desired to follow his steps as a successful carpenter. He realized his part-time job as a systems administrator was not paying off. His grandmother, Hajia Auraba, was his immediate good Samaritan who supported him financially to make ends meet.
Easy with my parents, but for my grandmother, she understood because I sometimes go for her for tea and tea before I leave for work. And from here to Konfanochi, every day will cost you nothing less than 7 to 10 cedis. You will take your breakfast, lunch. For supper, it will be ready before I reach home. So let's say 15 to 20 cedi a day. It can't balance the equation due to this financial. So I decided that's the main reason why I quit.
Mohammed Amin decided to go back to the drawing board and start all over again. He spent most of his free days monitoring his grandfather's carpentry work located near the family home. Mohammed Amin developed interest in the carpentry work. Opportunity presented itself one day when his grandfather asked him to try out furniture making.
His shop was situated in front of our house. So right from work or school, I used to come there and sit. Whilst he is working, I started picking, but never inform him that I want to do carpentry. Whilst he was doing, hold this for me, do that for me, just he think I was helping, but I was acquiring the knowledge. So when I stepped forward and said, I want to, he said, can you? And I said, yes, I've been learning from what you are doing. So he just said, then this is a stuffing chair that somebody brought. Do it. If you succeed, I will pay you. If you spoil it, then I will pay it back. So it's like a gamble. I did it, and lo and behold, that's the beginning.
Between 2013 and 2014, Mohammed Amin decided to convert a small part of his family home into a shop.
Then boys, ghetto life. Though I wasn't from a ghetto, but I have brothers who live in the ghettos. Oh, do this for me. 2015, Babama, I have a friends, Babama and Ama. We used to call him Why Worry. They gave me their room set to do. They gave me their room set to do. Since it comprises of a chair, wardrobe, bed, TV stand, I did it. And
Get live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. Coming up in business, Minister for Works and Housing Francis Absenso-Boakye is urging occupants of Tema Kaiser flats to vacate the facility. That's coming up in a moment. Stay with us. Now in business, Minister for Works and Housing Francis Asenso-Boakye is urging occupants of Tema Kaiser Flats to vacate the facility to enable redevelopment by the Tema Development Corporation (TDC). He says the redevelopment is in their interest since the structures have been marked as unsafe. Here's a report.
The redevelopment of the Tema Kaiser Flats is part of a new urban redevelopment project undertaken by the Tema Development Corporation to give a befitting facelift to the industrial city. Upon a visit to the site, Head of Development at TDC, William Koso, told the minister that some of the challenges faced in the project are the resistance by some tenants to vacate the premises despite several warnings.
Paid for the flats. So the arrangement is that we will relocate them to where we came from, the Committee 26. A lot of them have gone, some are yet to move. You will have a few troublesome ones who are still insisting that we should give them time. That is the challenge we are facing right now. We have to get them out at all costs. So your presence here, I hope, will help for them to know that we are serious, that we'll be doing a project very soon, and so they need to leave.
In response, Francis Asenso-Boakye called on the affected tenants to move out for their own safety and in their own interest.
I think they should understand that development is it's a collective responsibility. It's not only the duty of government to bring development, and that they also have a role to play. Under the circumstances, they don't own this place. In looking for a decent place to live, they had to come here. I will actually want to look into the matter and see if there's a way that we can also support them. I can't promise, but on a compassionate note, I think that it's important to see how we can support them to vacate this place. We'll look into that. Anything possible, we'll adopt it.
Chief Engineer Edward Samjok has also been briefing the minister and the team on the progress of work.
We have 13 blocks, and we've already demolished 5 of them. We demolished 4 earlier, and this year we have demolished the last one, which is 5. So at the moment we have 8 of them left to be brought down. And when all of them are brought down, then we will have 13 blocks that have been demolished, which the space will be available for redevelopment. So that is where we are at the moment.
Yeah, the other challenge we are facing is
the TDC is a wholly limited liability government agency responsible for the development of Tema and its environs.
Now, away from that, some residents of the Frako Court in Tema say the lack of water supply over a decade is making living in that area expensive. According to them, several appeals to the managers and developers have not yielded any results. They therefore plan to embark on a protest this Saturday. Here's one resident who has been speaking with Joy Business.
Currently, the major issue we have in the estate is water supply. We are not having the constant water supply that any other community is supposed to enjoy. This has been a very pressing issue, I can say well over a decade. I moved into the estate 2011. So as it stands, we've been complaining of this water issue for quite some time now. And I think we've got into the point where we need to get the authorities to know about how this issue is affecting us in terms of cost, in terms of inconveniences, and what have you.
So you were saying it's been over a decade. Have there been any reports? Have you told anyone in charge anything about it?
Yes, for me as a resident and other residents, I would say we have different platforms. We've had different meetings, different fora. There's been several interventions from the residents' perspective, right? But we feel we are still not getting that traction because there's always shifting of the goalpost. When you report to DevTraco, who is the developer, they move it to Ghana Water. Ghana Water will also come in and be telling you it's your developer who is supposed to, fix the internal challenges. Because for Ghana Water, what they tell us is they have fulfilled their side of the bargain. They still release their valves to supply water, even though they acknowledge that they are rationing. So they have a schedule, per week. I think they open on Thursdays and shut the valves by Sunday evening. Yet still, majority of the residents do not. And because of the peculiar nature of the water issue in the estate, you have no option than to have, water tanks. Some have 3, 4 water tanks in their homes. And it makes the situation very, very, very bad. Because if you don't have these, you cannot depend on those smaller tanks that the developers provided. That will run out within a couple of days. Well, as it stands now, a lot of the residents are not happy about this. Some have come in with similar recommendations, and it's gotten to the point where now we need to protest for management to know that the issue is really, really unbearable and it's affecting all residents.
And that's it for business. Up next, Oreku Ampofo has the latest in sport, and like we said earlier, the quarter-final draw of the UEFA Champions League details will be on this show.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the sports segment, and we do start off with the biggest story, one that has some fans smiling and some fans, anxious a bit about who they have to play in the Champions League, and the quarterfinal draw has been made, and there are intriguing ties to certainly look forward to. Here are the full fixtures, and then we would also be breaking that down for you in terms of who would be playing who in the semi-finals and potential final as well. And so the quarterfinal, we do know, is set. Manchester City face Borussia Dortmund. A chance for Erling Haaland to show Pep Guardiola that he might be their man this summer. Porto would be facing Chelsea, a good draw for Thomas Tuchel on paper. And then last year's finalists, Bayern Munich face Paris Saint-Germain. Can the French Giants get revenge against the German Kingpins? And then Real Madrid face Liverpool in the last game. That's also a repeat of the 2019 Champions League final as well. So certainly 2018 final, where we did see Ramos and then Salah get into a little bit of an altercation. But in terms of the semi-finals and what that means, quarterfinal 3, so Bayern or Paris Saint-Germain would be facing the winner of Manchester City or Dortmund. And in the other semi-finals, the winner of the Liverpool or Real Madrid game would be facing Porto or Chelsea. And then we have the winners of those semi-finals meeting in the final. So that's the pathway for the Champions League. Certainly, it looks like a very interesting draw there, with the endless possibilities on who could certainly be meeting who. There's also been a small matter of the Europa League draw, and Manchester United would be facing Granada away first. We have Arsenal facing Slavia Prague. Arteta's men have to be careful because Slavia Prague have knocked down 2 English teams, Leicester City, and then much recently Tottenham Hotspur yesterday evening. We have Ajax, Mohamed Kudus would be in action against Roma, and then Dinamo Zagreb face Villarreal. Let's come back to Ghana, where a partnership deal between the Ghana Football Association and Melcom Ghana has officially been launched at the office of the Melcom office in North Kaneshi, Accra. Joy Sports' Haruna Mubarak was there and filed this report.
The deal, which was agreed in November last year, came at a time the GFA was on a branding and marketing spree, securing deals with several corporate organizations. Black Stars coach C.K. Akono, technical director of the GFA Bernhard Leped, and 3 other local-based players were there to witness the event. GFA boss Keto Kreku believes the partnership shows they are on the right track.
The hard work that we started on the 29th of October 2019 is starting to get the attention of the corporate world. And if Melcom Group today finds the FA as a good partner, it means we are doing something right. And it means we also have something good to offer the consumers of the amazing products that Melcom Ghana offers to the entire country. What this partnership brings to football is special. This partnership will also be enjoyed by our clubs in the Premier League, which is the elite league of Ghana. And this partnership will also be enjoyed by our clubs in the second tier, which is the Division 1 league.
Apart from the Ghana Premier League and the Division 1 League, women's football will also be a beneficiary of the deal. Ghana Women's Premier League Committee Chairperson Hilary Boateng describes the deal as a morale booster.
I think that it's a morale booster, definitely. Apart from Melcom, we also have NASCO, which we know have been there the past season and this one as well, supporting us with Player of the Month, Player of the Match, Coach of the Month as well. And trust me, it's brought about very, very good competition amongst the players, because obviously everyone wants to win it, and you see the passion and the excitement on their faces when they win a TV set. It's brilliant. And it's the same with this. When the ladies went to Melcom, well, some of the clubs, and had their shopping, they sent me pictures. Some also posted on social media for all of us to see.
Well, some members of the players who were at that Melcom sponsorship deal made the Black Star squad, and that would be a topic we'll be looking into at Sports Today and 2 p.m. That's 2 p.m. at the Joy News channel here. We'll be talking about the squad. There's been some issues with the players that were called as well for the games against Sao Tome and South Africa. So do make a date. My name is Eric Wampofu, and that's how we wrap up the sports for now.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News Today. Now, dancehall artist Stonebwoy has added his voice to the conversation around the Grammy Awards and how Ghana can get to the global stage. The musician says the industry must collectively work and learn from past African winners.
He is capable of winning or being the next to win such prestigious awards. Everybody, every musician, any musician, you know what I mean? Once you put in the work, and you implement the things that are necessary, you know, there's a possibility. So that's what I can say about who's going to be the next, you know. And remember that Africa is big. And the category where Burna Boy won was just created 2 years ago, if I'm not lying, where Angelique Kidjo won the first one and the second one. So this tells you that it is a new category where an opportunity has come now for the whole of Africa, not only Ghana and Nigeria, but the whole of Africa, be it Zimbabwe, be it Tanzania, you know, so everybody is working very hard. So definitely the next could be anybody from anywhere, we can't tell. Yeah. The glory for one African nation is glory for all of us. But it is sweeter when you can say you brought it in or Ghana brought it in. So that's just where I feel that edge that one day, I think it should be us also bringing the glory for the whole of Africa like we have always done.